Alrighty. Well, good evening and welcome back to Beans Guys Fitness. And today is my Wednesday, but it's Tuesday evening. Then we're going to play around with bench a little bit before I head to work. Today's topic is going to be kind of when life deals you disappointments or challenges. Sometimes it can be both. And how people can either deal with it, ignore it, or let it affect them in a negative way. And it's always going to be the individual in charge and how that direction goes. So I'm a firm believer that a true test of character is during times of stress. You will learn more about people in times of stress than you will during other times. Because how they act in times of stressful events, in my opinion, is a true measure of who they are and what they are. So, times of stress, there's different things I have observed. I've seen people that have totally just folded. The stress just totally just shut them down. And their way of dealing with it is not dealing with it. Their way of dealing with it is avoidance, is ignoring, is shutting away, moving away from it, not dealing with the problem. Trying to make an excuse why the problem's there and why, convincing yourself why you can't deal with that problem. And you will believe anything you tell yourself if you say it enough times, especially if you will find an echo chamber, as I call them, that will also tell you that those things are correct. So we'll deal with the echo chamber. The echo chamber is you go to a group, whether it's in person, whether it's online, whether it's through direct voice contact or text, that will echo back your sentiment. Will say, oh yes, you're right. And that will help cement your decision on whatever it's doing. Now this can be, the echo chamber can be a positive thing, but I think a lot of times it's used for negative things. So if you say, I can't deal with something because it's just too much, and you go to a place where they say, oh my God, that's just too much, you're gonna believe it, and you won't deal with it. The problem is when you don't deal with problems, even if they go away, the effect doesn't. All right, there's still a residual effect. And then you have the other ones who will blame the problem on somebody else, even though the problem started with you. You're going to blame it on somebody else, whether it's a family member, whether it's a parent, whether it's someone outside, a teacher, police, law, boss, or whatever. You're going to blame an external force. And once again, it's just another form of avoidance. Not saying sometimes things aren't caused by external forces, because they are. But I'm just saying, here's how some people deal with pressure when they get pressure, whether it's financial pressure, whether it's relationship pressure, whether it's just work pressure, whether it's just dealing with life in general pressure. We all have it, and we all deal with it in different degrees. As I've gotten older, I've tried to mature on this thought. And my way of dealing with things was to, in the most part, try to tackle it head on. Other times when you just want it to go away, yeah, absolutely, we all felt that way. But realizing it's not going to go away, and there's some point you have to act on it. If you're not happy with the shape you're in, start lifting weights, start going for walks, start running, start doing yoga, start eating healthier. Okay. If you're unhappy with a job, then find another job. Or if you're unhappy with your position in the job, find a different position, or deal with it. Sometimes you have to deal with it. And I'm trying to understand some things that have been happening in my life and why they happen. And I'm trying to figure what the solution is. Sometimes you can't find a solution because there's external pressures that you can't get a hold of or find out about. So if you're trying to help somebody, you can only help them to a certain point by the information they're giving you. And even when you see that they're making a bad decision, even when you see that they're falling into this trap, if they're not going to listen to you, you're just kind of, you can tell when you're talking to somebody and they shut you off. You're trying to give them helpful advice, and you're looking at them going, they ain't listening to you anymore. Or they're listening to find something for a rebuttal, or they're just waiting for you to finish your speech. At that point, you're not going to be able to help them. And it's frustrating. I'm sure we all go through with it. So what I'm going to talk about is something that you have 100% control of, and that's yourself. So if you're having an issue, you need to learn how to deal with it. You need to learn how to come out of it stronger than before. So if, for example, you're thinking, wow, I'm not really hitting the gym like I should be, you can either make excuses. I'm getting older, I'm busier, I just haven't been feeling like it, my energy's low, I got these external pressures, or you can lift. And this can be applied to other things too, not just lifting weights. It can be furthering your education. It can be learning a new skill. It could be bettering yourself, fixing part of a relationship. And sometimes you just need to just get active. The worst thing you can be is inactive. Worst thing you do is just stop trying. I've seen it where they've just stopped trying, where they just shut down, where they no longer will look for a solution. And it's frustrating when you see that happen to somebody that you know and love. I personally lost a friend that did that once his wife had passed away. He gave up on living, and there's nothing that I could do, there's nothing that his other friends could do, there's nothing that his kids could do. It was basically it was a very tough year until he finally passed away, because he gave up on life. So what I can say is, as frustrated as it can be when you see it happen to others, you have to make sure it don't happen to yourself. You have to get to the point where saying, I'm going to learn from my observances, and even though I can't change the world, I can change me. I can make myself better. I can make myself healthier. I can make myself stronger, faster, more knowledgeable. I can make myself happier. I just have to find a path and get on that path. And we should always be on a path, my opinion. We should always be striving for that next adventure, for the new adventure, for something to look forward to. Whether it's Tuesday and you're looking forward to, Friday night, taking the wife and going out and seeing a band, you like. you know, or you're thinking, okay, what am I going to do come this holiday? Where do we want to go? Summer vacation. Where do we want to go to summer vacation? What is our plans so we can sit there and take the steps to book the rooms, to put away the money, make sure the car's maintenanced, so we can go out and do that. It gives you things to look forward to. All right, and those are the positive things, and those what make life happier. Now the negative things can also need to be dealt with. All right, you know, this repair needs to be done in the house. How am I going to get it done? You know, what is going to be expenditure, and what do I need to do to cover that cost? So does it mean that I sit there and I work, you know, an extra 12 hours overtime for the next couple weeks to earn that money to cover that repair bill? If that's the case, that's what I do, you know, or maybe I do a couple more deliveries, maybe put out a few more videos, making plans. And sometimes you have to write these plans down, you know, or type them in or whatever, so there's a visual thing to remember. I remember when I worked out, when I was really into it, I wrote down every exercise I was going to do for the whole week, and what weights and how many reps, and it was a science. I spent a good half hour writing out my workout for the week, and then went and did it. You know, it was very effective. I had a lot of energy. I showed huge results. You know, and I did that for a very long time, to the point where I got where, well, I know how to work out. I don't need to sit there and write it down as much. I don't need to have that, you know, process. I can just get in the gym and lift, which is my thing. Just get in the gym and lift. Well, I think I may go back to that process. And why will I go back to that process? Because I'm not happy with the amount of effort I'm putting into it. And that's the one person I have to make happy. And if I'm not happy with the amount of effort I'm putting into it, I can, you know, either accept it and stop and start putting as much effort and put less effort in, you know, and then wonder why I'm not getting the same results, wonder why I don't look the same, wonder why I'm not lifting the same weights, and I can blame age, and I can blame all these things. Or I can remember, hey, this used to work for me, and go back to it and see if that'll be the kick I need. Always making a plan. Always having a plan. Always looking for another way to make money. So there's new app out there. It's called School. And I got an invite for it. I've been doing some research on it. And basically it's a class-based website that you can become a creator on. And of course, they're making it sound really good. Yet, you know, as a creator, I can make a lot of money. You know, all I have to do is just attract all these people to my classes and hold this on there. And you can start out for free for 2 weeks, and then after that, it's $99 a month. Well, I'm looking at it going, first of all, is it a good premise? You know, does it make sense? So that's the first thing. Now what I'm going to do with here is I'm going to try different grips with the same weight. So I'm going in tighter. I'll do different variations of tighter and wider, and then maybe go and up weight a little bit tonight. So this is a good premise. It sounds like a good premise. Do I have the subject that will draw it in? So they're advertising people that are teaching math, teaching science, teaching history, teaching writing, you know, all these things where they too have to pay to be on there. So I have people that want me to train them online, or they want advice online. I'm saying, well, you know, I need more information from you. I need to know where you're at. I need to know what your goals are. I need to know what is your ability to work out and where you're working out. You know, and are you going to make a commitment to this? Because I've had a lot of people sit there and start with me, and after the third month, well, they're not doing any of the lifting. They keep, well, I missed it because of this, I missed it because of that. After 3 months of going, you know, you probably should just stop paying me, because you're not going into the gym, and that's the problem with being online, because you're not really there to push them into the gym. It takes a commitment. Sometimes the commitment is because they're paying money, but that's not always it. So I'm looking at this school and seeing as a premise. So, you know, can I attract enough people? Well, I've got a big following here, 14,000. I got almost 24,000 on Instagram. I've got over 10,000 on Facebook. And each media pays me money per month. Some are much better than others, and it varies. They trade places. So if I get some of those people to come over to the school app, you know, could it be a good moneymaker? It could be, but now I've got to donate the time to justify those people coming over here. So that means I would have to be putting out videos. I would have to have a workout one every week. It would have to be edited. It would have to look more presentable than what I do right now. That means that we put a lot of time into it. So is it a good thing for me right now? Maybe not, because you need to put the time in there to do it right from the get-go, because if you don't do it right from the get-go, it's really never going to take off. So, for example, I was looking for an appliance place that used to be pretty smart about things, and I started selling on eBay as through that appliance store. And I was getting a lot of closeouts from major manufacturers that I could sell at a significant discount. I mean, like half of what you would normally pay, because they were a discontinued model, but they were still doing the box. And then I was able to attach kitchens to a lot of these. So I was really making a good business on it, where I'd be up until 11 o'clock at night on the computer selling, besides my regular job. And this was from a regular job. Margin was high, so the company was making good money. And I started picking up contractors from different states: Colorado, New York, Florida, Georgia, Missouri, you know, where they were buying the high-end kitchens from me, and I was shipping them to them. And because of the deals we had, it was still better than them buying locally. Back then, you could make good money selling big screen TVs. You can't anymore. But it was going really well for a solid year. I was doing huge business. I was building up the clientele. And then for whatever reason, the company I was working for decided they didn't want me doing that anymore. So that they gave it to an IT guy who did absolutely nothing with it. Zero. And I think they were jealous I was making a good living. Of course, they were making a much better living off of me, but that's where jealousy comes in. So after a year of letting that momentum drop to nothing, they came back to me and said, well, we kind of made a mistake. We want you to take it back over and see if you can get it going again. I just told them, that ship has sailed. All right, the damage has been done. There's no way of getting that momentum back. It's not going to happen. It's almost like a sequel of a bad movie. It doesn't do you any better. And I shut the place down, and I went and found different employment, because I understood I was working for the wrong people. But if you are going to set something online, especially one that you're going to have to pay, you want to be able to put the time into it. So right now I'm thinking it's probably not the right one for me at this time. When I retire, different story. I'm going to go out with a wide grip here. That's how I used to bench. That's how I used to bench out here. That used to be my grip. and I put up 480 like that. Then I had a pec tear, and I started bringing my grip in, and it's been that way for a while. So what I want to do is I want to vary my grip placement on there. So when you have issues, you can either avoid them, you can make excuses, you can blame others, or you can take 100% of it upon yourself and find a solution. I got a friend online who has severe depression, and he deals with it. He deals with it with his activities, with lifting weights, with getting up in the morning and riding his bicycle, for doing movies at night. Currently he's doing Halloween type movies, spooky movies, funny ones. Constantly doing positive things to deal with his depression on it. So he's taking 100% upon himself to get it corrected. Not blaming somebody else. He's not trying to ignore it, because it's a real thing. But what he's doing is he's taking steps to combat it, and his steps are making him a much more healthier person and motivating person. He motivates me. He's one of the reasons that I'll probably keep working out, because as long as he's doing it, I gotta do it. And to me, he's the one that's taking the correct steps to deal with it. Not that he doesn't have bad days, because he does, we all do. But he's constantly still pushing it. He's constantly getting out there, trying new things. Living is what I call it. He's living out there. I mean, here's a guy who could easily just sit there and, box himself in a room and blame the world and justify himself for doing it, but he doesn't. He gets out there and he takes ownership of his condition. He doesn't pretend it's not there. He understands it's there, and he takes steps. So I try to do the same thing with myself. Not perfect, but I know I feel better when I lift. And if I don't lift, I get depressed at myself, and I blame myself. So the solution is lift. Just get in the gym and lift. Stop making excuses. Stop being inactive. It's not like all of a sudden one day, I'm going to work out for 3 hours, but it is, add 5 minutes to my workout every day. Until maybe I get to that point. I don't know if it'd be 3 hours, but I used to do that. And the results were fantastic. I'd like to get back to that. I've been looking at supplements, and supplements, such as to kick up your testosterone or your HGH and that. But the thing of it is I look at the side effects, and I'm still not comfortable with the side effects. It just, it tells you, well, here's what is a positive thing you can do, but, then you read that, kidney failure, liver failure, prostate, problems, your posturate, digestive, I'm looking at it, okay, what is my goal? My goal is not to be Mr. Olympia. My goal is not to be Mr. Bodybuilder. My goal is to stay strong and compete. So, even though I have researched it, and if you do take such products in that, I'm not judging. You're an adult, make adult decisions. Just I'm not quite there yet. I did do a lot of research on it for the last 2 weeks, and I've just come to the conclusion that I still don't want to take that step, and that's my decision. So I'm going to keep pushing it, varying my exercises, varying my lifting, how I lift things and that, and go from there. So that was a wide grip. Now I'm going to go with a pretty narrow grip. And you got to make sure that you're not too narrow, because the more narrow, the more it goes to the triceps and away from the pecs. benched on what would have been my Monday, it would have been Sunday night. Boy, was I sore that night. But it was a good sore. It was one of those, yes, I'm getting back into it. You know, it felt good. It motivated me to get back into it. I did the curls yesterday. I had my son bring in the other bar. And when I think about it, I'm going to have to bring more and more stuff in and kind of get my weights in. Today I got a good 7 hours sleep. Interrupted slightly by the cat. Doesn't like me to sleep that soundly, I guess, and kept wanting to pet me and get up, daddy, and so that kind of broke into my sleep pattern just a little bit. Old Bink's not going to have to get an understanding of that, especially as it gets colder and she'll be spending more time in the house. But otherwise, I got 275 up here now, and each workout I'm gonna keep going up in weights, because 225 is where I stopped last time, so I'll stop here at 275. Probably have another on Friday, which my plan will be go to 315, and we'll go on from there. Now it's going to be one of the longer videos. This one will take a while to upload. And I won't upload it until I get to work, because I don't think I'm going to have time to get it uploaded before I head out. I hate to start an upload and then it gets interrupted, and then it gets to be all sorts of fun. So this will be my one to do when I get to work. I should have a running furnace by then, and still should be an easy day. It'll be interesting how the rest of the week goes, whether you want me to work overtime or not. Last time I worked overtime was because of the furnace. So I got 275. Same thing, I want to do regular grip, wide grip, inner grip would be what I want to do. And it's going to engage different parts of my muscle. Give me some chalk. So don't slip out of me. It's starting to feel a little slick. Now, I'll start the regular grip here. It's right inside the lines. And then I'll do a wide grip, and I'll do an inner grip. And then it'll probably be time to start thinking about getting ready to go to work. So, it looks like Friday we might be taking a trip up towards Chicago again to see a band we like. And I think Sunday is the Veterans Day Parade. And should be fun. I really won't be able to drink because I got to work that evening. But I think I'll be able to handle that. Just have to, I guess, sleep in late. Then we're back to the grind again. Fun, fun, fun. So that was regular grip. Next grip will be out here. It's going to take it more to the delts and pecs. And then the inner grip will take it more into the triceps. And that way I'm getting like kind of 3 different variations on it. I do want to start getting back to the regular gym so I can do some, get in the fly machine and things like that. So we're We're out here, wide grip. Woo! And it definitely feels different. I haven't benched that way in a long time. So I can really feel it working the muscles at a different angle. So I guess the moral of the story is it's natural to have life throw challenges at you. It's natural to feel overwhelmed. You know, it's natural to feel like sometimes things ain't fair, but what you need to do is you need to take ownership of it. And you need to sit there and find solutions. What's happening way too often is I see in the younger generation is either they come upon this on their own, or they get this advice from a therapist saying, you know, mommy and daddy were at fault. And sometimes they are, but I'm thinking probably in about 80% of these cases, they're not. And I think as a therapist, you're weak if you go there right away. I think as a therapist, you're doing a disservice to the family unit, whether this is something you're doing on purpose, because you either A, want to make sure they keep coming to you, and so you're saying what you think is a popular thing, or B, you have some sort of power trip and seeing just how much control you can put over on a person. I think sometimes they're doing that on a subconscious level. And then there are going to be times when, yeah, you know, you get an abusive parent or two, and absolutely. But that's not what my research is showing. That's not what I'm seeing out there. I'm seeing is, you know, mom or dad said no on something, so I threw a fit. Now I got somebody saying, oh yeah, the reason that, you know, you're a man adult because of your parents. No, it's because of you. Take ownership of it. And if you sit there and if you distance yourself from your parents because you can't accept something that you did, well, shame on you. You know, the reason it's in the Bible, honor your mother and father, is there for a reason. So I'm seeing too much of that out there, and I'm seeing it being supported out there. And there is no support for it. Not in my opinion. I think you need to sit there and learn from your mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all go left when we should have went right. You know, we all didn't move forward when we should have, or didn't move back when we should have. You know, and you can look back there with regret, or you can learn back there and say, okay, I've learned from that, and I won't make that same mistake again. And that's how you grow, and that's how you mature, is you learn from the errors that you've made, because we've all made errors. And if you never made errors, it means you never took risk. But sometimes we made errors because of misinformation, because of fear, because of indifference, you know, and you just gotta look back and say, okay, I don't want to be that person in that situation. Next time it happens up, and I'm going to react to it in a more productive manner. And then go on from there. Give me your thoughts on whether I should do this school app or not. And I wait till this late in the video to do so, because it's going to be my core subscribers that will listen to the video this long. And those are the ones the opinions that really matter to me. So, you know, I know my, you know, Christopher and Michael and Larry and Mark and Kevin and a few others will probably listen to it all the way through. And it's hard to, because I know I've probably been yakking for at least 20 minutes. But usually that's why I put the important questions towards the end, because I know I'm getting somebody that really follows me out the one to just click on, hey, that was pretty cool, click on the next video. click on the next. And you know, tell me that if this school app is something I should do. Right now, I don't think I've got the time and the energy to take it on and keep the other things going. But if I can figure some way of getting everything organized, maybe build up a couple of these sessions, you know, that I can sit there and download and get things going. Because if it's not turning, you know, at least, you know, $300 a month, there's no reason for me to be spending $100. I think what's going to happen is I think the app is going to make good money. I think initially you're going to get a lot of people, but I think there's only going to be like 5 out of 100 that make money. And the other ones are just contributing to the app. That's just my thought on it. But, and then once again, if everybody really starts getting successful, at what point they start, you know, they start getting greedy. YouTube has done it. They pay about 1/3 what they used to 5 years ago. Instagram has done it. They pay like 1/10 what they used to. You know, Facebook is paying pretty good right now. We'll see what happens later on. I anticipate in a couple months that they won't be paying as much. Just because they're going to follow everybody else. All right, so I had the regular grip, the outer grip, now I'll do the inner grip. I'm doing low reps because I took 2 weeks off, so I don't want to get so sore that I can't do anything. So tell me what you think about the video. I know I might have been as laser focused on it as I could have been. And always remember, rest, nutrition, proper exercise, hydration, just get in the gym and lift.